In today's episode, I'm going to look at a Sony TC540 reel-to-reel 3-speed 2-head 4-track stereo machine. And this one's got a couple problems. This is part one of at least 2 parts. We're going to tackle mechanical problems in this episode. I have an old Sony TC540 stereo reel-to-reel tape deck. This one's got internal speakers and an internal amplifier. I haven't even so much as turned this thing on yet. So let's see, first of all, whether it powers up. It does. Let's see whether the control does anything. Okay, so it's going into auto stop. Forward. Well, that didn't sound good. Let's take a closer look at this and see why it's making all that racket. So under here, there's a little lever that drops down if the tape ends. If I hold that lever up, it'll stop the motor from turning off. You can see they've got pretty good torque here. And that's actually working pretty good. To go to fast forward, you hold down this button and you turn it like that, I believe. This one's got sound on sound, left to right or right to left. So you can kind of do basic overdubbing on here. I'm going to have to lay it flat only because I don't have another one of these. Actually I do, but I just don't have one right here. And this one doesn't seem like it's going to stay on anyway, so let's just thread up a tape. This little tape will be fine. It's fine for testing. Thread up this little tape and we'll see whether this thing plays. Now this is the half-track tape that I recorded on the old Grundig. And it was recorded at 3 3/4. This is a 3-speed machine. It's got 1 7/8, 3 3/4, and 7 1/2. So I'm going to use the built-in amplifier. We have a switch here to select left stereo, right, or left plus right for mono, and it's got a bass and treble control. Let's see whether this thing will play anything. Maybe this machine's going to work. That's interesting. Oh, right. Switches are dirty for one. This tape, what was recorded on the back side of this tape was recorded on another half-track machine. And this being a 4-track, quarter track, one track's going to be playing the forward direction and the other track's going to be playing the backwards direction. That's why we're only hearing weird sounds on here. And because they were both recorded on half-track machines, that doesn't sound very good, does it? That kind of sounds ugly. Let's pull this thing apart and just see why it's making all that noise. I'm pretty confident that we'll get this thing working, but I gotta solve that racket. So we're gonna remove the screws from the back here, and then the deck should lift out from the cabinet. Gotta be another, maybe these screws on the top here. I bet you it's these ones on the handle. I betcha they're all the way through. Yep. Now this unit should just lift out, which it will. With the exception of the speakers, which have plugs on them. So we'll just undo the plugs. Kinda like this. Even the plugs are keyed with one pin bigger than the other so that they only go in one direction. The correct, oh, look at this. There's a screw inside the cabinet. I wondered what was rattling around, and there's dead bees in here. What else is falling out of this cabinet? Now we can get a look at this thing. What the heck is that? This just fell out of the... A nail? Really? I'm surprised this thing didn't blow up when I plugged it in. It's had stuff falling out of it. What else is going to fall out of this thing when I turn it over? I hear something else in there. Oh, yeah. What else is going to fall out of this thing? Okay, I think everything's out of here now. We can test this thing by plugging it into my amplifier. I don't have to use the built-in amp for testing. It has line outputs on here, so we can plug it into line outputs. Let's see if it makes that horrible noise now when I thread it up again. See if there's anything rattling around inside it. Okay. Well, that doesn't sound good. So I think what we have here is a case of the pinch roller not engaging. I'm just going to pull the head cover off so we can inspect it. That's done by removing the screws that secure it through here. Just have to loosen them off a bit. Okay. Now we can see why this is not working. Aha! You can see what's happening here. The pinch roller is not engaging. Let's get a closer look. You see? Gummed up. Because the pinch roller on these, it actually pulls out and then goes into place. And this is only a 2-head deck. I thought this was going to be a 3-head because it's got sound on sound, but it's not. This is only a 2-head deck. Here's our erase head, and here's our record play head over here. This is a 2-head recorder. So I need to lubricate this mechanism, it looks like. See, that's not pulling all the way up, but I release the pause. That's supposed to. I'm just going to remove the tape so that I can operate this mechanism and see what I need to get at to lubricate. It's going to be in behind this mechanism. Unfortunately, I don't see it from the back sides, so I'm going to have to take this cover off here. So we'll remove the take-up spool. I'm going to remove these screws here and probably these ones here on the head guard. And I should be able to lift, and I think these ones here have to come out too. These are what hold. These ones might not have to come out. It might just be these ones here and these two up here. And I got to obviously take the tape speed control off. That should just pop off, which it does. And of course the knob's got to come off too. That should come out of there, I think. Pause lever off. We'll take off the knob, control knob. Remove these two screws and remove these two screws here. And now I should be able to pull, I think this whole piece will pop out of here. At this point, it should just lift off. Oh, one more screw down here. And now this front lifts off just like that to reveal The drive system, which if you remember that old Radio Shack one, is very, very similar. It was a very similar system to this. That's the belt for rewind. It you can tell it's been sitting for a while because it has a flat spot, but it's not broken. These are the idlers, one for to drive the capstan shaft and the other one to drive the take-up spool. This is the mechanism I need to get into to fix the problem that it's got. Just going to reattach the control knob so that we can turn it on and off. Yeah, this is gummed up, I think. Now if I remove this bracket here, I should be able to get in behind here. This is okay. This is the arm here that's frozen, and it's mounted on this shaft right in here. Okay, I believe this is the only thing that's wrong with this, is this shaft here. Right? When the cam releases, that pulls down. There's a spring that pulls it up. The spring is over on this side over here. Yeah, this is spring down here. Actually, this is part of it right here. That's actually a switch that shorts out the, I guess it shorts out the audio when you stop it so that you don't hear sound when on rewind and so forth. But the as you can see here, this is supposed to go up like that, but the grease on this shaft over here is dried up. So I'm going to have to remove the head bracket assembly. There's 3 screws that hold it in place, and I'm going to take that off, and I have to take off the pause lever as well, and that'll remove that whole head block. So at that point I'm able to lubricate the capstan shaft and take care of the problem with the pinch roller freezing up on its mounting post. Anything else that holds this? Oh yeah, there's another screw down on this side. So there's 3 screws that holds this block in place. Okay, now I can lift this out of the way. I guess I have to take off this. I have to take off the pause lever here. There's a screw here, and another one over here. I'll just take these ones apart. I think that'll take it apart. It won't take it apart. I have to take the pivot apart over here if I want to take this out. Okay, now this will lift out. I don't want to lose that little, there's a little brass collar in here that has to space it out, so we'll just grab that out of the way. Okay, now I should be able to swing this bracket out of the way like that, and now we can get at this bearing that is seized up back here and lubricate it. I'm going to pull the capstan shaft out first. I don't want to break any of these wires off while I'm at this, so I'll carefully remove the, maybe we won't carefully remove it. Okay, I got that clip out of there, so now I can take the flywheel off, and the spring will lubricate that before I put it back on. As you can see, the bearing itself is pretty disgusting. Now I can take this bracket apart and lubricate it. I'm just going to remove the spring. This is what pulls the pinch roller into place. So I'm just going to remove this spring if I can. How is it attached? It's attached on this side. Pull off the E-clip. This grease is all dried out on here. or take the spring off of here. Come on. There we go. Now I should be able to pull this down, or at least remove this bracket here, and then I should be able to get this pinch roller out. Remove off this other E-clip here that holds the pinch roller in place without losing it. Take that spring out. Now I can take the pinch roller out. Now I can remove this screw. I think, no, I don't have to do that. I can just take this whole arm out without taking that screw out of there. I can just lift this whole arm off. And this is where it's stuck. This arm back here, this is where the pivot is stuck. So I should be able to lift this off and clean it up. I'm just going to get some penetrating oil, WD-40, down in there so that this is not as tight, as I don't want to damage anything. And this whole thing should lift off. That would probably fix it. You know, that would probably fix this thing. This is so frozen that it's actually turning. It's actually turning the rivet. It's so badly seized. If you notice on this top side here, if I move this, you should see it. This turning. Watch what happens when I move it. Where am I here? Over here. See? The rivet's actually turning. That's how badly seized this thing is. It's funny though, because when I first loaded the tape the first time, it moved. It moved the first time and then it seized. I can hopefully get in here and just get this moved enough that I can get it off without damaging anything. Gonna put some heat on here and see if that'll drive the lubricant in to free this up a bit. There we go. Starting to move. Starting to move. Oh, you know what I gotta do? I got to take out the screw on the other side that operates the head lift, or the pad lifters, because that's going to prevent it from coming through. So we're going to remove this little clip. And the lock washer. And now this should lift off quite easily. And then you can clean all the crud out that's below it, because this is a really bad shape. There we go. Okay, I got the mechanism apart. Now it's time to clean this up and re-lubricate it and put it back together. So to clean this up, I'm going to use just some good old isopropyl alcohol to clean up the bearing here, clean all the old lubricant off, and then I'll just put some regular 3-in-1 electric motor oil on there. That'll keep it free. Okay, let's put some oil onto the pivot. And we'll start putting the unit back together. See how freely it turns this time. It should be very good now. Oh yes. Yeah, there's no nothing dragging now. Can put the clip back on here. And now start putting the unit back together. Again, we'll lubricate the pinch roller itself, the bearing, Gonna get the washer back on here, and then the E-clip and holds that washer in place. Goes on next. Hold that in place until I get my pliers on there to squeeze it in place. Try to do this without losing it. There we go. Okay, that part's taken care of. Now I can put the spring back in place, and then we can start reassembling the mechanism. There. That has this mechanism reassembled so that it's going to work as it's supposed to. Now I can reattach. Lubricant drying up, so we'll clean this up. Yum. Can't forget the big spring here. That's better. Okay. That holds that in place. Okay. Now I can put this back in. And it should, oops, I'll take that cap off. It should line up here and I should be able to put the screws in, at least start to set the screws for the hold the bracket in place. The big heavy screws here. Okay, so that's pulling, that's going to pull back the pinch roller. That's good. Okay, that's good. Now I have to get the, I have to put the pause lever back in place, and I've got to put this catch on to pull to open the head covers, the pad release. But I get the pause lever in place first, so I'm just going to put this on the back of this lever here if I can. Spacer in here and drop that in place like that, and then I should have a screw that goes through here to hold it. I believe it's one of these ones. So now the pause lever will activate, put it in play. Pause lever should, yeah, once I put this in place. This is the adjustment for the pause lever. What this does, this adjusts the height. It's going to push down on the pinch roller so you can adjust it for how much clearance it's got. Okay, if we see how this operates, when you press down pause, this pulls the pinch roller free and then re-engages it when you release the pause. So this, what this adjustment does here is this adjustment, you adjust it up just enough so that there's no pressure pushing on the pinch roller to reduce its tension. So we want just to have just minimal clearance between this bracket, so that when you push it down, it'll still pull the pinch roller away, but it's completely free here. We want to make sure that there's a slight gap right here, so that when you're not engaging the pause, it's not resting, right? Otherwise, if this is set too low, this is going to be resting on here and it's not going to allow the full pressure on the pinch roller. So we want some clearance there so that when you press it into pause, it'll then make contact with the control arm and push the control arm down, which will then, of course, remove tension and lift the pinch roller away. And then, of course, when you put it in stop, the pinch roller completely disengages. Now I need to put the pressure pad release back on here, which is just another clip that goes in to lower down the pressure pads. Or is it like that? It's like that. Yeah, that's how it goes in, because it pulls the tape down. This little portion here, this makes contact with the tape when the tape gets lowered So there's a screw that goes in here as well, and that fits in here just like that and holds the tape pads away when it's in stop, and it actually pulls the tape away from the heads so that you're not hearing the tape running at fast forward or rewind. And of course this is also adjustable for how far it's going to pull the tape down and pull it away from the heads. So now when I put it in play, it completely retracts out of the way so that the tape can make contact with the erase head and the record play head over here. I'll lower the camera so you guys can see it in operation. Here's a close-up. When I turn the unit into stop, you'll see that this will lower down and move the tape away from the record play head. And of course the pinch roller drops and pulls back. That allows you to thread the tape easily. The tape path of course goes through here. When we put it back into play, you'll notice this lever will drop down. This is the auto stop arm. So when the tape ends, there's no tape in it, that'll drop down and shut off the motor. And then when you put it into stop, of course, it kicks that back up. And then there's rewind and fast forward. Anyway, that is back together. I'm just going to make sure everything's tight, and then we will thread a tape up on this thing and watch it play. And I'll thread the tape up actually before I even bother to put the machine together. I want to test it to make sure that everything's working. So basically it's ready to go right now. As you can see, it's ready to rock and roll. So let's thread up a tape and take a listen to this thing and see how it sounds before I put it together. I'll actually make a recording on this too, because this tape, of course, being recorded in half track is not going to play properly. But we'll do a recording before I put it together. But just for playback. Okay, it's working. I'm going to clean the heads. Oh, my tape decided to let go at the splice. Wouldn't you know, right where it was spliced, the leader came off. Oh well, it didn't break. It's just the this tape is very old, and as you can see, the tape that held it together, the splicing tape, let go. Let's clean the heads, and then I'll demagnetize these heads too while I'm at it with my home-built demagnetizer. So clean, and I bet you they're pretty dirty. Oh yes, they're very dirty. Talk about dirty record play head. The erase head's also going to be lovely, I'm sure. Yeah. Lovely. We'll do the pinch roller and the capstan shaft at the same time. Okay, get my demagnetizer, we'll do that first. In case you missed this from the last one, there is a video on how I built this. It's just a coil of wire around a screw. I've got some heat shrink tubing over the top here so that there's no contact that's made with the head or anything, and that'll prevent any scratches. I just plug it in, and I'm just going to take it and hold it around the vicinity of the head and anything metal that the tape might touch. Just around the head here. I'm not going to touch the head though. I'm just getting in close. I'm going to back away slowly and unplug it because this thing gets warm pretty quick. Okay, if I want to set this amp for record, I'm going to put it into record pause first, and I'll then put the thing into record. I'm going to hold down both record buttons here, and that'll have the thing in record mode. Gotta clean these controls. Controls are pretty dirty. I think we'll do that before I proceed. Okay, controls are right down here. There, that one's better. And get the other one on the other side here. Probably wouldn't hurt to give the record play switches a shot too. And then we'll work the switches a few times. I'm going to start the unit up and we'll let it record here. I'm in 3 3/4. We'll do a couple different tests. I'm just going to roll the tape a bit here just to let the tape counter roll ahead, and then that way I don't have to unspool the tape when I rewind it for testing. So we'll just let this go up to, you know, maybe 20 or 30 or something, just to give me some lead in. We're recording this now. We'll go back to 7.5 here and see how that one sounds. It's almost like I didn't record anything on the right channel. And I thought this was going to be an easy fix. We have more than one problem on this thing. Okay, this is going to be a two-part video because I'm going to do this one as the mechanical repair on lubricating the chassis and freeing up stuck parts. We have a record bias problem on this, which I'm going to get into in the next video, the next installment for this video, to find out why this thing's not recorded. You know, we know it's not a playback problem because, for example, if I put it in playback, I can hear hum from both channels, right? Right channel and the left channel. Right. So we know the playback amplifiers are working. It's going to be a record bias problem. It's not mustn't be getting a record signal. The switches are clean. Not a problem there. I gotta think it's a bias problem or something in the record amp. Anyway, that's going to be another video because this one's gone on long enough. So stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for watching.